All right, what's up, people? So I figured I was gonna do this. We're gonna obviously cold watch Tom Leroy's latest video, Vlad Dracula and the Left Hand Path. Now, before we get started, I want to say two things. I'm gonna decode Tom Leroy to you real quick. Thomas means twin, and then Leroy means the king. So you have a twin king here. Fucking with you, except I'm really not. We're going to go in this. I'm watching it cold. Let me just give my thoughts originally on what I might think he might be saying. To me, Vlad, it's called Tepes. Vlad the Impaler, like the historical fucking Dracula just means dragon. So like that was his like his emblem that he, like when he went into battle, if he ever had to. This was a murderous motherfucker. But the thing is, he was like an unorthodox Christian, but he was definitely a Christian, okay? And he just had this thing about fucking like impaling people. Like, I don't know, man. I just can't see that motherfucker as any kind of representation of true left-hand path philosophy or anything like that. Like, if you wanted to bring up somebody, go back to, how should I put this? Go back to the, it's not the Babylonians. It was the fucking Persians. They basically let everybody do their own shit, and they just took from everybody and fucking, like, ruled the world for, like, ever. The Persians, the ancient Persians. And anywho, like your Dariuses and your Xerxes. I don't see, when I go in blind to a fucking video, I don't have a fucking text in front of me. I don't have anything in front of me. So I go in blind. Let's do this. Let's do it. I might need to fucking like tone this volume down a little bit, because Tom can come in hot sometimes.
Sinisterism is about finding the primal aspects of the left-hand path, primal in history, primal in the psyche, thus obtaining truth. Thomas Leroy.
Yeah, it's the twin king, man. That's what it is. If you look at it, Thomas is twin. Didymus Thomas, twin. And Leroy from the French. But the R-O, yeah, that's always regal, like Rex in Latin, you know what I'm saying? Like ruler. Anyway, he ain't saying nothing right now. I'm gonna let him talk. Hold on, he'll be able to talk.
Greetings, my friends, and welcome back to your dose of sinister heathenry.
It's all pre-recorded,
but for those
by the
new
way.
to the channel, I'm Thomas Leroy, founder of the
International
Left-Hand Path Organization, the Sect of the Horn God.
This is his pre-roll.
The sect is an educational foundation created to not only make those with a black flame aware of its glow,
I used to have some
but
pretty
to
cool
also restore
pre-rolls.
the shadow
all Karate
aspects
Kids
to the
and shit.
ancient
Like,
gods
sweep the
by
leg.
going deep into the past, not only historically, but also
always got to give
psychologically.
props to that fucking image right there, dude.
Primal depths of
It's like
the
the best
psyche
one.
are limitless.
It's the best Odin I've ever seen.
So, if this sounds
Seriously.
interesting, make sure to
Fucking
like,
awesome.
share, and
You
subscribe.
created it, Tom, man.
And if
You
you
get
want
the
to learn
Oscars.
more, join the
Or the
organization,
Emmy or whatever it
the
is you're
Sect
up
of the
for.
Horn God, at the link down below. Thank you.
You're welcome.
Since I was a teenager, and that was a long, long time ago, I have had this obsession with Vlad the Impaler. I believe it began when I read the book In Search of Dracula. There was also a documentary, too, based on the book. Anyway, what is it about this individual, this Christian, who tortured people that...
He's... Dude, I didn't even watch this video. He already hit on two of my points.
So many of us on the left-hand path...
See, that's what I'm saying. Real recognize real. He already hit on two of my points. I didn't even watch this video. I'm like, God damn it. If you don't hit those two things, and yeah. Hey Tom, did you make a video on Rasputin yet? Because that should be next.
Find fascinating. Well, in this video, I will attempt to answer that question.
This is my first time watching it, for real.
The left-hand path is the road to power.
If I'm going to be critiquing art, I'm going to say I don't like that one.
Power, personal power. It isn't paved with the saccharine promises of paradise, but instead with the reality of will made flesh. So for those of us who do walk the path, who whisper secret names into the abyss and dare to stare unblinking into the face of our own godhood, a simple, stark fact needs to be embraced.
I love that. That was poetry right there, Tom. That alone, man. I already gave you the thumbs up. If I give you another thumbs up, guess what it turns into? Thumbs neutral.
That is this. The objective realm, the place that most simply drift through like ghosts in the void, is cruel, has always been cruel, and will continue to be cruel. Haven't you figured that out yet?
That is a kernel right there. You're 100% correct, and I've been saying this fucking forever. I think that the thing is, like, sissy Satanism is not Satanism. Left-hand path does not operate like that. You know this. I know this. A lot of us, well, a few of us know this. Yeah.
Never be a utopia. There never was a utopia.
Exactly.
There'll never be perfection. There's never been a Garden of Eden, and you'll never reach heaven.
The point is, it's an asymptote. It's a goal to be strived for.
There's no true justice, and there never will be. Your child gets murdered and society locks up the killer. That isn't justice. That's just the status quo trying to feel better about itself, because they'll sometimes lock up the innocent just to feel better. A quick cleanup on aisle 5, if you will. True justice would be if your child was to rise from the grave the moment the real killer is executed. But that, of course, doesn't happen in our universe, this objective realm. Even with all our advances in technology and academic ethical reasoning, Western civilization is skating on thin ice. And that ice is melting, and soon we'll have...
I think we should have the Malthusian argument. We should do that. That should be fun.
To once more deal with the law of the inevitable, the law of the strong hand and the unyielding will. Thus, we'll be left to do not what's moral, but what's needed. Now,
that's an interesting dichotomy. It took me a while to think about that. Is there a difference between what's moral and what's needed? I don't know, man. That's an interesting question, man. That in and of itself, that should be a video.
There are plenty of videos out there that will give you the history of Vlad the Impaler, Vlad Dracula, but this isn't going to be one of them. Instead, I'm going to dare to delve into an aspect that's not often touched upon, the deep psychological appeal of a man who's been cursed by history. Yeah, I know he was a Christian, but that was a different time and a different kind of Christianity.
Exactly. I even said this before we started this video. I said his Christianity was unorthodox for the time. It was very limited to... it was basically like, let me say, Romania, Transylvania, Wallachia, whatever. You know what I'm saying? This dude was a fucking, like, he was a nightmare to his enemies. And I can understand how you can respect the fuck out of that. Because I do too. That's why Donald Trump is president right now. It's because people understand. That's a strong dude over there, man.
Those of us who find ourselves in the shadow of Vlad would do well to heed this truth, the truth that throughout the ages, the world has not been a place of fairness or kindness. That power has belonged to those who would take it. And Christianity was, and always will be, utilized as a tool for power.
Oh, wait. Hold on. You know the Pope's getting ready to die, right? So we got one Pope on the deathbed. We got another one still alive that basically had to resign because he was allowing for the rape of young boys and stuff. And so we can get a third Pope. And then you know what they say, the apocalypse comes when the 3 popes happen. I'm kidding.
Dominion know that every man beneath them would,
given
the chance, slit their throat to wear their crown. So one must sometimes go to extremes to retain their power.
Vlad wasn't fucking around, dude.
Thus, to the masses, Vlad Dracula is a monster. He's even the inspiration for a vampire novel. But a monster is what the weak have always called the strong. And It is the way of those who would walk the left-hand path to learn the lesson that there is no pity on this path.
Exactly.
No tolerance for the trembling voice that begs for clemency.
From who?
The world is not ruled by grace. But to those of you who are on the road to sinister illumination, Vlad...
Tom is nailing it on all points philosophical. I love when Tom gets philosophical.
Should be interpreted as one who mastered the art of fear and transformed it into dominion. The left-hand path is not merely about rebellion, but the refinement of one's own darkness into a weapon, an art, and eventually a throne. Herein lies Vlad's first lesson. Horror is authority. Most of us dabble in horror and face it to one degree or another, don't we? Conventional society, though, trembles before the grotesque, not merely out of disgust, but out of recognition. It's the mirror, or it's the image in the mirror they don't like gazing into. To us, though, the abyss reveals the truth.
I actually think that he's onto something a little bit, in the sense that we find things to be... what's that called again? They revile us, or they're revulsive, or it's like it makes you want to throw up. There's certain type of things that you can imagine in your mind that, depending on your personality, that are going to make you do that. But I think those are survival mechanisms. So again, we get back to, like, the world is dirty, but it's dirty for a reason.
That personal power,
it's dirty so you can have an immune system
to accept it. But
so you can be strong.
Cruelty as a metaphor, you may ask? You can say Vlad's use of horror wasn't just an act of cruelty.
I don't think it was a metaphor at all.
Ritual and invocation.
I think it was totally real.
Testament to the reality of power. Now, don't get me wrong, I'm not saying to go out and...
That's where Jesus went. Jesus went to a pit just like this motherfucker put all these people to the pit. He was basically crucified for treason and then basically thrown into an unmarked grave. Into a pit. That's the part they won't tell you. They're like, oh no, it's an empty tomb, blah, blah, blah. If you were executed by Rome, by crucifixion, I got news for you. You didn't get a tomb. Joseph of Arimathea was bullshit. That was a made-up fucking story. You did not get a tomb. You got thrown to the crows and the vultures and the fucking... whatever the fuck else it is in the goddamn desert, nigger.
Impale people to become enlightened.
Sorry, back to Tom.
That was a different time, a different mindset, a different reality. But in the face of cruelty, fear is no longer an abstraction, but a sigil carved into the flesh of the defeated. Those who seek the path of self-deification must...
I would have written that a little bit differently.
Understand this. To master fear is to shape the world. It's not enough to reject the moral chains of the right-hand path. One must transmute pain, fear, and brutality into a new reality. But Vlad's lesson is not simply one of metaphorical cruelty, it is
I
one of
disagree with all that,
autonomy.
by the way.
In the 15th century, in a location where men either bent the knee to the Holy Roman Emperor or to the Sultan of the Ottoman Turks, he stood as a brake against the tide.
Exactly. This is where the story gets interesting. It took you fucking how long? 855? What are we going to look at? 999? Because we're going to have to do it. 9 verse 9.
His rule was one of will incarnate, a single man defining the machinery of empires. But don't mistake this for mindless savagery. There is no enlightenment in simple bloodletting, no apotheosis in blind destruction.
Okay, I gotta translate Tom for you. Apotheosis, that means becoming a god. Come on, Tom. Speak English, nigger.
The left-hand path demands transformation, a metamorphosis through darkness into something greater. Vlad's story is an example of this. He wasn't a beast without reason, but a monarch who wielded his terror with precision and artist.
It turns out that fucking skewered human bodies is a really good propaganda machine for don't fuck with me. You understand what I'm saying? It's really that goddamn simple, nigger.
Whose medium was blood and dread. The lesson here is rage must be disciplined and the abyss must be navigated with intent. And so those who carve their names into the bones of the world must ask, are they ready to wield terror not as a tantrum, but as a scalpel? Are they willing to walk alone, sovereign and unshackled, even as the world recoils? To understand the Impaler is to understand that true power is a paradox.
We always operate within our best rational interest. All of us. Including the devil, including everybody. Even the Lord Jesus Christ. Everybody always acts to their best interest. And it's funny when you see them do it.
It is horror. It is artistry, and it is ultimately a path to something beyond human. They called Vlad Dracula a devil. This may have something to do with the fact that sometimes the word Dracul can be translated not only as dragon, but also as devil. Thus, Dracula can be interpreted as son of the devil.
Yeah, I've heard that before, but no, it's dragon.
Aren't we on this path sometimes referred to as the offspring of the devil or of Satan?
I'll take it.
And as the offspring of Satan, we do not weep, do not beg, do not suffer the illusions of the lesser, and we do not live like they do, moaning.
No, he's a cultural hero for sure, dude. Especially when you look at them. There's certain slices of Slavic countries where you can see this. He's Donald Trump, like what, 1,000 years before Donald Trump?
Afraid. Instead, we dare to go down deep into the abyss with the knowledge that we, in the end, will leave an impression and sometimes a scar upon the world. In conclusion, my friends, what do you think? What is it about Vlad the Impaler that's so appealing to people like us? Could it be his unwillingness to bend the knee to outside forces, to go to extremes to retain his independence? Or is it the horror aspect in his utilization of horror in order to control his realm and intimidate his enemies?
All of them.
Because on this path, we often go to the limits.
He's a complex character. He's a human being.
To master our inner kingdom and to control our ultimate enemy, ourselves. Leave a comment down below.
Well, I just made a fucking video response, so we gotta have that.